Never miss another strange story. Subscribe and hit the bell. Sit back and get comfortable. I have a few stories to share with you. Whenever I mention at social mixers that I used to be a cop, someone asks for a story. I usually tell one. I pick something funny or something exciting. I stay away from the grisly and miserable. No one wants to hear about little girls involved in a traffic collision or going to the same house 3 days a week for domestic disputes. Those stories ruin the mood, so I save them for my therapist. This story is one of the ones I don't tell. It was Halloween, 1974, and the great Satanic Panic was just gaining traction among the evangelicals that make up my district. Allegations and rumors of abuse and dark magic spread like wildfire, coming hand in hand with anxiety following the Saudi oil embargo of 1973. We on the police force heard all about it. Children being abducted and tortured in dark red pentagrams. Poison candy. Teenagers opening themselves up to domestic possession through drug abuse and rock and roll. We heard it first from the pulpit on Sunday mornings, then from frantic 911 calls from terrified housewives that invariably led nowhere. That is, until Halloween 1974. We were out in force that night, on hand to protect trick-or-treaters and keep the peace. Halloween that year coincided with the full moon. I remember that distinctly. That blazing white light bathed the town almost as good as the street lamps did. We got a call from the pastor's wife, whispering about satanic rituals going on in the woods outside her home. The police chief didn't become chief by ignoring influential citizens, so we went out to investigate. I remember thinking it was a complete waste of time. Probably teenagers listening to music too loudly. We beat through the bushes, the moonlight guiding us. We found a clearing where she said the Satanists were. And, well, I'm not sure what all was there. My therapist says trauma affected the memory. I suppose that's possible. I remember bits and pieces, usually after I awake from a nightmare. There was a pentagram drawn in scorch marks in the dirt. The trees were carved with something, maybe graffiti, but I can't see in my head anymore. I break out in sweat just trying. The symbols seem to shift around if you stared at them too long. I remember the photographer throwing up, trying to snap photos of them, and I remember refusing to look at the pictures years later. We found a body, a little boy who went missing earlier that night. The crime scene reports are clear that he was skinned alive. I wondered later why I hadn't seen the child that night, hadn't even known there has been a murder at all until I saw it in the newspaper. How could I have seen the pentagram and not the child inside it? We never got a suspect, just left the case open and moved on. That is the kind of story that ruins parties. Ordering pizza on Halloween never made sense to me. Shouldn't people be full enough with candy? My motorbike rattles to a stop at the address. I curse under my breath at Papa Vitale's pizzeria for making me drive on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. 3 pepperoni pies can't be worth all this effort. A few seconds after I ring the doorbell, an elderly couple answers. Thank you, dear," breezes the wife, hurriedly riffling through her purse for money. "You can just go ahead and leave the pizzas on the front porch." "You want me to leave your pizzas on the doorstep?" I repeat, incredulous.
"That's what we're paying you for, isn't it?"
barks her white-haired husband. Following the instructions of the wackadoo couple, I pop open one of the lids and prepare to toss pizza on the floor. "Wait!" yelps the woman all of a sudden, her face going pale white. "You forgot the blood." "The blood?" "The fresh pig's blood we requested on our pizza when we ordered. It's not there." I guess we just assumed, that it was a joke, 'cause it's Halloween." I give a nervous chuckle, expecting laughter, but the fogies only grow more and more stone-faced. "Look, lady, I don't know what to tell you," I interject. "I don't even know why they put those little round plastic table thingies in the pizza boxes. I just deliver stuff. If you and your husband really want to eat pig's blood, then..."
"Idiot boy, the pizzas aren't for us,"
shouts the man furiously.
"Therefore..."
His voice trails off suddenly as he notices something in the distance. Looking over my shoulder, I see a crowd of small figures approaching from the end of the road. In the dim moonlight, I can just about make out the trick-or-treaters' decomposing costumes. What are the odds of every kid in the street dressing as the exact same monster? That's when it clicks. I didn't see any other houses on my drive here, only a graveyard. Panicked, I turn back to see the couple have slammed the door in my face. Unless I can coat these pizzas in fresh blood within the next minute, I'm zombie chow. I still don't know what that little round plastic table thingy in the pizza's boxes is for, but pressing its jagged prongs against my forearm, I think I found at least one good use for it. "Sweetie, now are you sure you don't want to take your glasses off for tonight?" I shake my head firmly. Mom sighs and casts her eyes to her sewing machine, as if to suggest that her hours dedicated to my Indiana Jones costume were a waste. Stepping in, Dad chides her for her competitiveness, reminding Mom that it's only a Halloween costume. My perception isn't actually that bad. Even though I've been wearing glasses since I was 6, I can see well enough without them to get by for a few hours. And yet, there's absolutely no way I'm leaving them at home. Not tonight, of all nights. The evening's trick-or-treating starts off being mostly uneventful. As usual, I go door to door with my young sister, eagerly collecting our fill of sugary treats. Before we can reach the last house on the street, however, we run directly into a band of neighborhood kids, dressed to the nines as ghosts, witches, and the like. They respond to me with their standard greeting. A fist strikes me hard across the face, sending me crashing to the ground, and my glasses skittering sideways. Pointing and laughing, the bullies unleash taunt after taunt.
"Had a feeling we'd see you here, nerd. No explorer I know wears glasses, geek. You should have come as an alien instead, Four Eyes."
After crushing my basket under their feet, my tormentors take off towards the final house, clutching fistful of stolen candy. My little sister, mortified, run straight home. Unbothered, I gather my spectacles and polish them against my sleeve, just like I do at the end of every Halloween. I sneak towards the break in Mr. Tillman's fence, positioning myself directly in front of his living room window. From my vantage point, I can't see what's going on at the door, but I can hear the doorbell. I hear Mr. Tillman greet my neighborhood friends and hear their impish crackles turn to horrified screams. I hear the swishing of tentacles, the snapping of brake, and the scraping of fingernails against floorboards. And finally, as the turmoil moves into the living room, I see everything. For the next hour, I sit back and watch with pleasure as my favorite neighbor devours some treats of his very own. I know that wearing glasses while trick-or-treating can be an awful hassle, but some things are just worth viewing in high definition.